Hey y'all, it's Desiree and I'm back with another video. And for this video, God is saying heaven on earth. A lot of people truly believe that we are only to look towards heaven for our reward. And I used to be one of them. But God has brought forth this video today to let someone know that God does reward on earth and in heaven. Hebrews 11:6 says, "Without faith it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him." Hebrews 11:26 says, "He regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as a greater value than the treasures of Egypt, because he was looking ahead to his reward." And I know that some may argue that these scriptures apply to heavenly rewards alone, but Isaiah 61:7 says, "Instead of your shame, you shall have double honor, and instead of confusion, they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore, in their land, they shall possess double. Everlasting joy shall be theirs." The first chapter of Job, it says that Job owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 teams of oxen, and 500 female donkeys. And in the last chapter of Job, it says, "For now he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 teams of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys." So it's evident that God does bless in the land of the living. Again, Hebrews 11:6 says, "If we diligently seek the Lord, we should expect to be rewarded." And it's clear, not just in heaven, but in this life. Psalms 37:4 says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." When we commit to God, finding our joy, happiness, and great pleasure in him alone, he will give us the desires of our heart. And he wills the desires of our hearts because he gave them to us. But first we must endure. It's not enough for you to just go through it. You got to overcome. You have to see the assignment through to the end. Overcoming isn't just surviving the storm. It's understanding why you had to go through it in the first place. Overcoming is being able to truly understand why the storm was necessary. Overcoming is realizing you were never a victim and always a victor. Overcoming a storm affords you peace, joy, and comfort even in the wait, knowing if I just suffer a little while longer. But simply surviving a storm will leave you with a raging mind despite the calm sea around you. It'll leave you with more questions than you started out with. It'll cause you to not only question yourself, but question God. Simply surviving will leave you walking around in constant survival mode, shell shock, battered and broken. It'll leave you stuck in a cycle of grief because no matter how hard you fight to accept the cards you were dealt, you can't until you truly overcome them. It's hard to accept hardships when you don't know why you had to face them in the first place. The easiest part is surviving a storm. The hardest part is sorting out the aftermath, and it's the most crucial step. And it's a step that's completely impossible without God. You can survive a storm without God, but you cannot overcome it without God. And it's sad because so many people survive hell on earth, then drown in the storm of their own minds. Because all you got to do is wake up to survive another day. But you got to wake up and fight every day to overcome. And every day feels like 3 days in one. And it's scary to have to revisit that old pain and trauma. It's scary to have to feel it over again to truly heal from it. You cry different overcoming than you do surviving. Because although you're going through less, it manages to hurt so much more. Sometimes it hurts worse for a diamond to be polished than it does to be cut. Sometimes the process feels longer and much more tedious at the end than it did at the beginning. Overcoming hits like an unexpected second wave. Overcoming will have you thinking, why did I even complain in the storm? Overcoming had the Israelites wishing for the same chains they begged God to set them free from. I had seen this meme and it says, "No one warns you about the amount of mourning and growth." And listen, that is so true. Because sometimes we think after we survive the storm, it's up from there. God is going to march us out in song and trumpets in triumph, not realizing that God can't truly bless you, promote you, use you at your full potential without you first understanding why it is that he's blessing you, why it is that he's promoting you, why it is that he's using you. Before God raises you up, He will first answer every question in your mind and put to ease every pain, fear, and doubt in your heart one by one from birth. He will strategically and meticulously clean out your mind, heart, and soul because you can't fully enjoy your blessing in brokenness. God can't have you stepping into a season of uprising, fearful and afraid to mess up, afraid to make mistakes, constantly questioning, should I be here? Do I deserve to be here? Am I good enough to be here? Can I trust myself to be here? Should God trust me to be here? And listen, you want to see God rebuke you? Try to deny His goodness. Try to deny His purpose. Try to ration your portion. Try to convince Him you aren't worthy of His reward in full. Because it's not His will for you to suffer, lay down broke, busted, and disgusted, afflicted, and hurting. It's His will for you to overcome and for Him to reward you. Simply surviving will have you saying, Lord, I don't care what you bring me. I just want to have peace. It'll have you seeking a tent for shelter when God promised you a palace. But overcoming will teach you why it has to be so much greater. Why it's a must that God rewards you, not just in heaven, but on earth. Overcoming won't let you settle for less. Overcoming won't let you talk yourself out of your portion. I've never heard somebody demanding lesser pay from their employer. Why do we try to accept as little as possible from God when He promised us more than we can ask or imagine according to His power? It's because though we have to truly walk it out with Him to understand our worth, our purpose, His true intent for our lives. We got to truly allow ourselves to slow cook. You cannot microwave new life. You cannot try to gauge when enough is enough, when you're healed enough, strong enough, ready enough. You can't try to gauge when you have enough faith, have enough patience, have enough endurance. You got to truly trust God to be God. You got to truly lose yourself in Him and in His ways, not trying to figure out what He's doing, why He's doing it, because that's going to further confuse you in an already confusing situation, because now you in God's business. And the only thing that's more confusing than the storm itself is the steps God will lead you on to overcome it. It truly takes a blind faith. Like I said, to survive, all you got to do is wake up. But to overcome, you got to walk with God in the dark. And the last thing on God's mind is if you understand what He's doing. Not when His word says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. Read Job. Read Psalms. Job and David didn't know what God was doing, and they were not afraid to let it be known. You don't think Joseph sat in that dungeon wondering what was taking so long? But they trusted God. They trusted His goodness. They trusted Him at His word, and God rewarded them, heaven on earth.